Hi, I'm Pan, and I have a weird style. At least people tell me that I have a weird style. People always say that my style is always a combination of manga and Western cartoons, which I guess that makes sense. But I just want to talk to you in particular about what kind of influenced my style and why it became the way that it is. Because I do get a lot of comments from real life where people say, your style is very reminiscent of Eastern cultures, and particularly Eastern cartoons, which, by the way, that's a nice way of them saying your style is trash because it's anime in the very bougie art community. So, just to tell you everything, I am in an art major. I'm currently graphic design, but I used to be an animation student. And obviously, as a general art student, you have to take foundation classes, but also you have to learn how to draw and draw body forms and figure drawing and all that stuff. Well, in my figure drawing class, my professor, we had to do a self-portrait, and she was just like, Van, this doesn't look like you. This looks like a Caucasian version of you. And I was very confused when she said that because I'm like, what? And I guess she didn't really know how to say that my eyes aren't super round. They're very small. Like, my eyes aren't small, but the way that I drew my eyes back then, it looked very, I look at it now and I'm like, wow, I look very Caucasian in this drawing of me, and I'm obviously not Caucasian. But not only that, but my facial shape, I just didn't know how to draw myself. And so, after that class was over, the following fall semester, my third year of college, I believe, I just was like, okay, I'm going to completely work on my drawing and just work on my art. So this was, I think, at the time that I got into BTS because I just came from Japan. And what happened was that I fell even deeper into the hole and I started drawing the BTS members and the choreography, because as an animation student, I was taking an animation class at that time. So I was like, I want to learn gestures and improve on my gestures so I can improve as an artist. And if I showed you my sketchbook from during that time, which was, I believe, 2016, fall of 2016, you would be able to see that I was just madly in love with drawing gestures, and that entire sketchbook could just be called the BTS sketchbook because I drew nothing but BTS. Their dancing styles. I remember I drew to Save Me, and that was just one of my favorite choreographies because it was very simple but gestural, like a really good beginner state. And then I started working on then Blood, Sweat, and Tears came out, and that was just another thing. But I also, during Inktober, I started drawing more of Minyoongi, Suga's face, because I thought his face was really interesting, particularly his eyes, because prior I was trying to draw Taehyung, or V, because the friend that got into BTS, her favorite member was V, so I would try to practice drawing him, but his face at that time for me was really difficult to draw. But Suga's face, his face was really interesting because he had very triangle eyes, that's what I call them, but they're kind of cat-like in a sense because he's literally a cat. I mean, his fans don't call him Little Meow Meow for nothing. So you can tell by my sketchbook that I just drew him constantly, and that's how he eventually became my bias because I just drew him all the time. And then eventually I just began drawing the other members, and I guess you can kind of tell that their faces are kind of incorporated in my art style in a sense, because some of the characters in my webcomic Play Pretend, they have eyes that are like Suga's, or they have lips, or they look like, well, the main female lead is low-key kind of based off of Jin, because I really love drawing Jin because he literally looked like every shoujo manga character out there, male or female, because even if I drew Jin slightly off, it still looked like Jin because he literally looks like a shoujo manga character. So for a while there, my art style looked like a realistic version, mainly because I kind of stopped drawing anime, because that's one thing about art school, is that they kind of discourage you from drawing in the anime art style, which I'm kind of against. Like, I understand because they want you to draw in the realistic format just for you to like get that down, but I also don't like it when they just constantly like bash the anime art style, but they talk good about the abstract art, and I'm like, what? I'm sorry. And that's another rant for another day. I'll probably have another rant about that. But then, because of Japan, and then my friend Masato coming from Japan to America to study for a month, he like gave me all these mangas, and I finally like started to relive my manga phase. And I was already in like this hardcore webtoon phase, but just being able to talk to him about like not a lot of manga, but One Punch Man in particular, I started trying to read more manga and also try to consume a little bit more anime. And I think right now, because of my current job, where most of the people at my job, since it's at an Asian coffee shop, they're either weebs or indie people, and I guess fit along more towards the weeb people. I have gotten more influenced by manga and anime throughout my art style, if you can't really tell, because I kind of really love how expressive people make the characters to be. And if you look at some of my manga books, particular Bakuman or something like that, you could tell that I do take notes while reading manga. Izumi Tsubaki is one of my favorite mangakas because she makes fun of the shoujo manga trope, which is my favorite kind of trope out there, and she just insults it. She's also the writer of Geikon Shoujo no Zaki-kun. So yeah, that is pretty much the influence of what is my style. It's like a mixture of like realistic but anime, but also realistic. Like anime but not. Like, you can tell the hints of anime and manga, but really it's like BTS in a picture. And I guess through this picture, since I'm still rambling and it's like 7 minutes in, this picture in particular, you could tell that it's Jimin from BTS. And the background is a very flat background, because that's one thing. Even though I'm creating my webcomic, and my webcomic is my passion project, and it really, you can tell how much my style has improved throughout the year of creating it. I'm still developing my art style, which is an art style that I make when I'm not working, when I'm doing something purely for passion, and I'm playing with different brush types and brush settings and so on and so forth. And this one in particular, I'm playing with the fact that I'm a webcomic creator, which is why like the blue background is kind of flat, and he's kind of going outside of the blue box, because that's kind of like my paneling style, if you haven't been able to tell. By the way, links for my webcomic is down below. So yeah, that is what's going on. And honestly, my style is something that I'm still trying to discover, and I'm still trying to create, but I'm not as worried about that, because I'm worried about something else right now, which is this webcomic. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to me ramble on, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!